Shalom, crew chiefs. Sorry it's been such a long time since I've posted much of anything for you all, but it's just been a very busy time, which is always the excuse. But the truth is, I just haven't been super inspired until this morning. And I watched a Patreon video that Bear did. And I'm not on Patreon, so I don't see a lot of what people are doing there. I probably ought to get on Patreon, but PJ was watching it, and so I I sat in and listened, and it was a really good video of him thanking his mentors. Great idea, great story. Truly enjoyed what he shared, and so now I am inspired. So this video is a short story for you two or three or however many of you there are. Um, and I'm sitting on the site of a place where I almost was very seriously injured by one of our billy goats. And I'm telling you this because Yah provides. That's all that can be said is he provides for us in our time of need. And he's doing it because we are following him and trying to be obedient. That's my take on things. And so right here, I'm sitting on a rock, and he was tied to the tree, just not the one behind me, but just to the right, a smaller tree. And it was, I think it was summertime-ish, and he was, he wasn't a big billy goat. He was a, Nigerian dwarf, but he was bigger than the ones that I have now. Certainly not a full-size billy goat, because I've had full-sized, dairy billy goats that were larger than him. But he was pretty stout, and he was pretty strong, and he had a big boss and pretty big horns, and he was pretty ornery. He was not brought up being handled a lot, and so the reason I got him was he was the son of a nanny that I bought down here from a neighbor, and she was a little wild thing, but she was smart, and because she was smart, I could figure out, how to work with her. So my son, I gave her to him, and he gave me the billy goat because a billy goat I had died, and so I needed one. And so this fella, we just called him Billy, was tied to that tree, and he got super tangled. Now with him, we kind of had an understanding to being tied to a tree, and like once a day someone's going to come out and untie you and move you to another tree. And after a few rough spots there that brother Sam helped out with, he kind of was in the groove. He kind of knew what was happening. But on this particular day, he was super tight up there. He was super stinky because billy goats are stinky, especially at certain times of the year. And they will also urinate all over their beard and all over their legs and all over. And so his rope was stinky. And at first, when I walked up here, because I had already moved the other goats at the time, at first I thought, nah, I'm not going to move him. I'm not going to move him because he is, pretty ornery, especially at that time, and he doesn't really know me, and he's kind of tied up. But he was tied up so badly, he couldn't really move at all, and he was complaining. He was, making this noise, which is he needs help. He's stuck. And so, I felt sorry for him, and I'm like, all right, I'll try. I'll just go try. And I know how to control billies, sort of. And I've controlled bigger billies in the past, in my 40s and into my 50s. One way to do it is just grab one horn when they're trying to butt you, and they'll spin around, and you just got to kind of control that. But I really wasn't into trying that with him. He has a very big, thick neck, and I just wanted to try to untie him. So I came over here, and I started to begin to unwind the rope, and I thought, because another thing I would do is stand on the other side of the tree, so if he does feel like headbutting something, the tree's the immediate thing in front of him, and he'll knock his head into that for a while, and he'll be okay. Well, I thought I was doing that, and there was enough slack in the rope that he could reach me, but I didn't think he'd want to. And I was telling him, like, dude, I'm just trying to untie you, don't get worked up. And he butted me. And so it knocked me to the ground. and I was on the ground, and he had enough lead that was trying to he was trying to butt me while I was laying on the ground, but I couldn't tell if he was trying to hit my head, because his instinct is, you know, to be doing that with another billy goat, to be hitting the other billy goat's horns, just like you see the big horn sheep do, and to sit there and knock each other until one of them gets, lightheaded, and he backs off. So he was butting down towards me, and he was about middle of my body. So my instinct was to grab his horns, which I did. I grabbed his horns and I held them. And while I was laying on the ground, I just let my elbows touch the ground. So really, my forearm now is like locked, with him pushing down on me and me letting him push, but not my forearm is not going into the ground. So I'm just holding him there, and I'm yelling at him, and I think I tried to kick him, but he was too close for me to get an accurate kick, because, your legs are very strong. I could have pushed him off and maybe rolled out of the way, but he was right on top of me. And if he let off, he would immediately come forward again. So there was no like in between. So I was laying there really thinking hard, how am I going to get out of this? And I realized I don't know that I can, because he was exerting a lot of force. And so I screamed for help. I screamed for help. I had no idea who was home. I had no idea where anybody was, but I just screamed for help. And luckily, the millennial man was walking by or nearby. I don't remember what he was doing, but he heard me scream. And he goes, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Do you need help?" And I said, "Yes." And so he came running over, and he saw what was going on. And I'm like, "Get him off me, get him off me." And if you've seen the millennial man, he's got some muscles on him. So he came over and grabbed the billy goat off so I could roll out of the way. And I really think he saved me from serious injury that day. And I know he's that kind of man who's just like, just shakes it off, just happy to help kind of thing. But I was truly grateful. I was truly grateful. There's a reason I care about people around me, and that is one of the reasons I care about him as a person, because he's a very kind, giving person. And I also think that Yahweh probably knew my mind, probably knew I was about to step into, knows everything. Of course he knew. I was going to step into a dangerous situation and maybe be seriously injured. And he had us placed in such a way that Millennial Man was there to help me. I believe that. Now, some people would say it's just luck or whatever, but there's been so many things in my life that has happened, close calls, that I think really it was the Father. And so I hope you enjoyed the story, y'all. Thank you for supporting the channel. Bless you. Shalom.